Item 7.5, most dangerous and congested intersection in Monash. Councillor Zographos is nominated. I'm assuming he'll move it. Seconder, please. Councillor Davies. Yep, Councillor Zographos.
Thank you, and how great is Councillor Salumi? Marvellous councillor, what a great councillor, God bless her. But on this motion, you know, we've got a huge problem in this city, and it's called traffic congestion. How many times have we sat at a traffic intersection in the car thinking, my goodness, this is such a waste of my time? Whether you were going to work, whether you're going to school, taking the kids to school, whether you're coming to a council meeting, whether you're going to have a social meeting, having a coffee in Oakley, or wherever you're going, there are so many intersections in the city of Monash that are just absolutely congested to the brim, day in, day out. And we know that it's getting worse. It actually isn't getting any better, it's getting worse. So, you know, every minute that a mother, a father, a tradie, a small business owner, anybody going to work is wasting in their car at a traffic light with a red light, waiting for that to be cleared, is time completely and utterly wasted. And it's costing us money as well, because that tradie passes on that cost. The cost of travel, the time it takes to travel, the time that is the lateness to get to work, businesses and jobs, from job to job. The cost is passed on to the consumer. Traffic congestion costs Victorians and the City of Monash residents many millions, and across the state billions of dollars. It simply can't go on like this. What the notice of motion does say is that it welcomes the commitment from the Victorian Coalition to grade separate 55 of the most dangerous and congested road intersections in Melbourne, and particularly because it's going to do so at those intersections in the city of Monash in point 2. Those that have been causing our residents so much grief for so long. We know that people have died at intersections, either as pedestrians or in vehicles, and of course people are injured almost daily. This is aimed at not only stopping congestion but also saving lives. We know that level crossings are being removed, and partly because of the safety increase that will bring to the community. So the solution will partly come from this grade separation program, and it's being funded partly from the state government capital works allocation, partly from the federal Commonwealth government, but also from the sale of Victoria's share of the Snowy Hydro. And it's about between $4.1 billion and $5.3 billion. Now, of course, as this council has done in the past, we're seeking a bipartisan commitment so that whoever wins government, whether it's the current government or whether it's a change of government to the coalition, we will be able to say that the intersections will be fixed. And that's in point 3. But also, there are 20 intersections that haven't yet been announced on this list, and that we want our officers to work out which additional intersections we can put onto this list so that we can get Monash people moving quicker, faster and safer from Monash to wherever they have to go. I think that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we can't let this go through. The economic benefits of fixing traffic congestion is huge. As I said, the safety issue is huge, but also we know that 68% of our own residents drive to work every single day. Huge numbers, huge numbers. And the RACV, Victoria's peak road vehicle authority, is the authority that is actually providing the information, that the list that is being used to come to the conclusion to put these intersections to grade separate these intersections. The RSCV was actually the same authority that gave the current government its list to grade separate at level crossing. I'd ask for 1 more minute.
I'll move it.
I'll move it. And
Second, Councillor James. All those in favour? Against?
thank you. And I won't need a minute, but we also know that there'll be lower emissions because the stop-start nature of vehicles that are stopping and starting at intersections means that at the moment there are more emissions going out into the atmosphere, and that will be decreased if we make our Monash roads safer. So I hope that Council can genuinely look at this and say, well, we know that there's an election and we know that the current government might be re-elected. You don't know at the moment. I think it's probably 50-50 if you look at the political pundits. So there's a 50-50 chance that there could be a change. But let's lock it in and say, whatever happens, we will have a bipartisan, take the politics out of it and actually get infrastructure progress for the people of Monash, particularly those that drive on Monash roads. I recommend this report very strongly and I look forward to a very genuine discussion.
Any other comments?
I think that we shouldn't be making policy on the run here and to say that just because one councillor says that this is going to increase congestion, that we take that at face value, because that is just, I mean, that is just based on very, very poor analysis, if that was actually the quote that was read out. Because the RACV, as Councillor Patterson said, is the foremost expert in Victoria on traffic congestion, the foremost expert. They do this day in, day out. They have hundreds of experts that do this for a job, for their profession. And let me be very clear that if you actually read the policy document, it makes it crystal clear that no decision will be made at any intersection before consultation with the community. And secondly, that the engineers will actually design the new grade separated intersections. So there won't be any sky roads, nor will there be the arrogant way that some people in this current government have gone ahead and ruined the Monash community in various ways. This is about a visionary process for the city of Monash and Victoria. If we then just ignore it completely, we're talking about a $4 billion project.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes, what is your point of order?
Is Councillor Zographos talking the amendment still?
Yeah. So, Councillor Zographos, I will uphold the point of order and ask you to speak to the amendment which seeks to remove point 4. So
Yeah.
please keep to...
So what I was going to say is that if we remove point 2, we are neglecting to do the due diligence against this policy, first of all, and actually get a professional response, because what the director actually said was a number of elements need to be considered before a decision were made on each grade separation, and he said that the cost at about $100 million each was high. He didn't say that this was a bad policy, nor did he say that it won't reduce congestion. So that is just an answer that was given tonight. Imagine if we had proper analysis from officers to say, well, hold on, yeah, there is 3 or 4 intersections that could need further review if this coalition was to win the election. This is lunacy to remove this point. The amendment was carried. Nobody objected to it about 10 minutes ago. And now, 5 minutes later, somehow there was an epiphany to say that this amendment is now needed to remove dot point 2, which was the old dot point 4. Let's just stop bickering. I mean, we don't need to support... All we're doing is asking our officers to have a look at which intersections could merit being in that 20. It's not. We're not supporting, committing, funding any new money to advocate that this is, vote this way. This is simply the second biggest party, the party that will likely be the government if the current government isn't re-elected. The Greens are not going to win government, I'm sorry to say. nor is any other party in Victoria. It's going to be either Matthew Guy or Daniel Andrews. I'm sorry to say this, Councillor Fergus, but you might have to wait a few generations. But we can't ignore this policy, and removing point 2 will ignore it. So I won't be supporting this amendment. And if I get the opportunity, I'll speak about some other issues that were raised in the previous consideration. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Advocating for level crossing removals, not alone with others, people like Bill Ponticus, people like... Thank you very much. And long before Councillor James actually knew where Monash was, I was...
Point of order, Mayor. He's making personal remarks.
Councillor James, I think perhaps he's going to move from back so there's no point of order.
Yes, I was going to say that I've had almost my whole adult life advocating for level crossing removals, not alone with others, people like Bill Ponticus, people like members of Parliament on both sides, and many others. And I tell you, when I was a candidate for Oakley, Anne Barker will tell you that I made level crossings a very key issue, and I take some credit for where we are today with having level crossings being removed. Having said that, Mr Skyrail talks about Los Angeles style road overpasses. I mean, that's just hypocrisy gone mad. But if I could just respond to a few of the issues that my colleagues have said tonight regarding this policy. First of all, the facts are people drive. People choose to drive. But even if you take away the mums and dads who take their kids to school and, you know, that you can't walk from house to the school, it's impossible with a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, etc. The tradies, the plumbers, the business owners, they can't take a train. They've got tools, they've got equipment. These are their livelihoods, right? They use the roads. Let's get our head out of the sand and talk about the reality. All right, the reality is that 68% of Monash residents are driving to work. That is the reality. Now, can I just say that there will be no land acquisitions? There is no need to require land. The road is already there. All that will simply be done is the road will be lowered. Now, the engineers will be responsible for the designing. So wherever there are certain issues, so there might be a different design that is needed at certain intersections to the standard design that will be used at the majority of intersection grade separations, those will be fixed by engineers, not by politicians, not by non-professionals. The engineers will focus on those things. Now, bike lanes. Someone mentioned something about bike lanes, and I don't know who it was, I apologise, but if you look at page 20, there's a picture there of a visual of one of these grade separations. There is very clearly a bike lane. Right, the bicycles aren't going anywhere. There will be footpaths. The footpaths aren't going anywhere. And most importantly, there will be consultation. If there are any issues before the decision is made, that will come up in consultation. So, you know, I humbly request councillors to take any... I mean, my intentions here aren't political, and I say that with genuine, support for those sentiments, but it's not my fault that the coalition has put forward this commitment. If it was the government, I probably would be supporting it as well, to say, fantastic, it's about bloody time. Someone is getting rid of these intersections. And they might have removed some intersections. I'll give them some credit. There might be one or two, maybe not in Monash, that I can think of. But this is about a once-in-a-lifetime commitment, significant funding that will alleviate a lot of this congestion. So I hope that it passes. I really do. We've come to a compromise in amending it. Okay? Compromise is part of governing. So let's do the right thing here, and let's look at this next year to see if there's anything that we can advocate for future support in regards to having this on 20 list, or the list of 20. And Who knows, the government might change its tune in time and might support some of these intersections being grade separated. I thank Council. I look forward to any future discussion.